Conclave is a movie about the absurdity of elections and the pettiness that goes into politics and selection of a new leader, coming out 2 weeks before an American election, where a line in this film is the lesser of two evils. Yuck. I have some thoughts on this, so let's talk about Conclave, a movie I went to go see last night. This is a film directed by All Quiet on the Western Front Edward Berger. Conclave follows the passing of a pope, and this Papal Conclave comes together and essentially behind closed doors do this tradition where they nominate and elect the new pope. It's a very secretive process, and there are 4 candidates in this election, and the votes are being split amongst several men, to which Cardinal Lawrence, played by Ralph Fiennes, has to investigate and follow up and determine who he wants to essentially help elect. That is what this film is. Hearing the premise of Conclave, I had heard this film was almost a satire, almost a humorous absurdity in Catholic ritualism. This whole idea of this conspiracy of it all happens behind closed doors. And I knew Conclave was based on an airport novel type thriller book that had a very specific ending. When I kept hearing about Conclave, all I kept getting, especially with this absurdity, I kept thinking of the showrunner Armando Iannucci, who did Veep, which that was kind of the level of absurdity that I was kind of expecting. The darkness of politics and the absurdity that goes into all of that. That's not exactly what I got from this film. Let's talk about this film, and I actually want to turn the TikTok camera on real quick because I think the issue that Conclave has as a movie is the script lacks serious bite at times. This is a movie that is about the innate sense of tradition within the Catholic Church. There are very clever twists and turns that Conclave takes throughout, and there is exceptionally well done tension building throughout. This movie also has a political bite, which is not going to be everybody's flavor. This movie, I would say, satirizes the Electoral College / the lesser of two evils, this idea that comes up throughout the movie. Essentially, pick for the person that isn't going to be fully representative of you, but just someone that you think is better than the other person you don't really like. And the more this movie goes on, the sillier the analogy becomes, and it doesn't really build to anything. The Conclave has a twist to a degree that I can say confidently did not work for me. I understand why it might be well thought out to other people or really add another dimension. It just didn't work for me. But this whole idea of Conclave is this idea of progressive / reform versus conservatism. And I just didn't think those politics were well explored within Conclave, despite some really biting satire moments throughout. We'll talk about the twist in a second because I have more thoughts about it, but I did just want to take a second and acknowledge thank you for watching, and if you're liking this review, please make sure to subscribe for more. But let's talk about the film's biggest pro, which is the acting of this movie, especially in one man, Ralph Fiennes. This is a tremendous performance that Fiennes gives. It's a very constrained performance. It's actually a movie that really relies on the performance. That isn't a big over-the-top performance. While watching the movie, I wasn't actually blown away any moment with Fiennes' acting. I thought he was very much the center force who's holding this movie together, but you don't really feel it as you're watching the movie. It's when I left the theater, I really noticed myself thinking about how important his role serves to this movie, being the figure that we are exploring this world to, his questions of his own faith and his own humanity, and where his instincts are leading him to go in this selection process. Fiennes just delivers all of that just through his emotion, through his face. It is stupidly great acting from him. I would not be shocked to see him maybe even win an Academy Award for Best Actor for this performance. He is that good in Conclave. All the performances in Conclave are really good. I wanted to shout out a few more. Stanley Tucci, as always, is incredibly entertaining to watch in this movie, especially given that he is the character the most with Ralph Fiennes' character. He is also a cardinal. He is one of the reformed cardinals up for election of Pope. He is just able to deliver moments of where you're really questioning his allegiance, who he is, what he stands for, and he does it all with such ease. There's other great performances out of this movie. Carlos Diaz is really good. John Lithgow is exceptionally great in this movie, despite his role being small. Sergio Castellitto is wonderful in this movie as well. And then the other performance that people have probably heard about, it's the central female performance of this movie, is Isabella Rossellini. She plays Sister Agnes in this movie. I've been hearing a lot of Oscar buzz for this performance. She is good and effective in this movie. I would also not say she's in this movie enough. Really, she is there for one scene where she delivers a lot of exposition that is needed, and it's a really good scene. It also lasts about 30 seconds. Her impact is certainly noticeable. I don't think the performance is Oscar worthy, if you will say, but in a ensemble, she's really good, and it is a really pivotal, well done moment in this movie that I think conveys a lot of the interesting and intriguing ideas within Conclave. What's missing, though, because that's what I kept thinking about this movie, is there is an impact within Conclave that didn't hit me. And I had that same issue with Edward Berger last time for All Quiet on the Western Front, where I think the movie is technically really good. I think it has exceptional performances. I believe there is an impact in the visual language of the film and the cinematography. But by the end of it, there's just something where I didn't fully connect with this movie. So I was trying to figure it out. And I think what it is, it's the ending, because the ending should have really tied this movie together in a way that I found to be more satisfying and maybe made the whole journey to it all the better. Ultimately, the ending just kind of comes out of left field, and some people are going to find it really funny. Other people are going to find it very controversial, as some of you may have already seen with Ben Shapiro's review of this movie, which I think is a completely poor read / bad faith argument that he makes for this movie. But it is completely out of left turn, and it did take away some of the cohesion that I had with Conclave, and it didn't ruin the movie for me. I wouldn't say it does that, but it didn't elevate the movie, and I didn't actually get the point of the ending. It's one of those things where I understood why it's there, and it maybe adds some more thematic value to the twist ending and what this movie is actually all about, and the maybe absurdity of the Catholic Church and some of its rituals. I do certainly get some of those aspects of the idea. It's just that had you not had those final 5 to 10 minutes and ended it where I thought the movie was going to end, I don't think the experience is any different. So I was left more puzzled by the decision. It's, again, not enough to ruin it, but I think had the ending been stronger, I would have felt the impact all the more. It is a kind of funny moment in the film when this reveal happens, and that is the best word to use. It's a reveal, not really a twist. And I think what ultimately I kind of kept thinking, especially when I walked out of the movie, is had this reveal come earlier, it may have changed my perception of the film and how I view these characters, their motivations. And I actually probably would have found it a little bit more intriguing to have this aspect of knowledge that some people have, other people's don't have, and how they're navigating that. I'm curious now upon rewatch, if I see this movie, how I'm going to feel knowing where this movie goes. My gut instinct is it just doesn't really land for me, and I don't think it's going to work in future rewatches of this movie. But just some quick things I wanted to praise. The score is really good. I thought Berger had a really good score for All Quiet on the Western Front as well. He follows the score of Conclave very well. It's very effective. The costuming is wonderful. The cinematography is really stand out. Something Berger does really well as a director is he is so good at the visceral aspects of this movie. There are scenes where not necessarily action happens, but moments of bigness happen. And in those moments, I thought the film really just like clicked and worked, and I found almost like haunting, and it really played to a sensibility and a physical reaction out of me. I really liked it, all of that. In terms of Oscars, you probably heard it. I'm going to give a few. It's probably going to get a lot of the major ones. I think you're going to hear about in Best Picture. I'd be shocked if you didn't hear it in Best Adapted Screenplay. It may even be the front runner at this point. And you're definitely going to hear about the Fiennes performance. I think Tucci has a chance of a nomination. I keep hearing Isabella Rossellini thrown out in the top 5. I don't want to see that. I honestly don't think the role is that deserving of a nomination. She has, again, one good scene that lasts about 30 seconds to a minute, and that's about it. And even with that one scene, I don't think it's deserving of a nomination. As I described it to somebody, it's take the scene from Barbie where America Ferrera gives the speech, cut her role completely, where the only aspect that America Ferrera would have in Barbie is just to deliver that speech and then leave the movie and not really be in the movie before that, and cut that speech down by about half the run length. That's how I felt about the Rossellini scene in this movie. So again, good performance for an ensemble, enough to get it an individual supporting actress nomination and take it away from someone like Margaret Qualley from The Substance. I don't see it myself. I don't think it should be there. But ultimately, this is an enjoyable movie. The more I've thought about it, the more I liked it, even though it left me a little lukewarm. I can suggest Conclave, and I think there are going to be audiences who will have a lot of fun with this movie. I just wanted it to be a little bit sharper for my own personal taste, and it didn't fully deliver in that sense, but it does deliver in good performances, good direction, clever writing in moments. So ultimately, Conclave, 3 out of 5 stars from me. So thank you for watching, and if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe for more.